The soft patter of rain on his umbrella felt peculiar for this time of year. Typically, when he made this annual bike ride, it was snowing and frightfully cold. The sidewalks were practically abandoned thanks to the rain, and the snow mounds, normally narrowing the sidewalks, had melted away, making the journey all the easier for him. An early spring. This would be the 40th time he would ride this rusty bike to the set destination in the park. He hasn't missed a year yet, no matter the weather. Despite the unusually warm weather that didn't stop the aching in his joints, the ride might have been quick. Still, his knees were having trouble keeping up the push and pull he needed to ride, the squeak of the bike matching the cracking of his knees. His back already felt knotted while he compromised the umbrella and handlebars, trying and failing to keep himself dry. He shivered, and the few teeth he had left chattered, the early spring rain chilling his bones. This journey had grown more and more difficult over the years. Through his fogging glasses, he looked at the old picnic basket balancing on the handlebars. The years of use had emptied it of its once sunshine yellow, now plain and frayed as time rolled on. Maybe this will be my last time, he thought, frowning as a sting of guilt touched his heart. It had been a long time, so many years. Memories of his destination came over him, as they always did. Happy memories tinted with sweet melancholy. He smiled, even when his throat tightened and his eyes began to mist. Buildings and concrete sidewalks changed to trees and dirt paths. The rain felt different here. Everything felt different here. He found himself wanting to feel it. Despite the cold in his body, he tossed aside his umbrella, listening as it splashed into a puddle of rain and the last of winter's melted snow. He laughed, free of a compromise, and remembered how much he loved the rain. Onward he rode, his body shivering, his joints stiff and protesting, his spirit happy. The river came into view sooner than he expected, and at last, the tree, their tree. He could picture her sitting on its thick roots, watching the rusty river, smiling and waving at him, or reading a book and quietly contemplating. So vividly he could recall her. He knew she wouldn't be there. She hadn't been there in years. Yes, he whispered to the world, this will be my last time. He stopped the bike on the path near the tree and stretched his tired body. Scooping up the picnic basket, he limped slowly to the root and sat down to rest. She would be next to him, but she wasn't there, and never would be again. Like he always did, he looked around at the place, so familiar. His vision was fading in his late years, but he could remember the view of the river, rushing through and always changing. The space between their spots had their initials carved in the bark. He felt them, even after all this time. They had only begun dating when he did that for her. Now they have faded, old scars closing with the passage of time, and time heals all wounds. He moved his eyes up to the branches, squinting to see through the rain. What he could see was a surprise. The buds were already bursting forth. Spring was coming early. Early according to him, he reminded himself. Time and nature always know what they're doing. He sat a while longer, listening to the river and feeling the rain. For years he kept the promise, the tradition alive. This day, every year, he came and had a picnic with her, their anniversary. Even after she left, he kept up the tradition. She never asked him to do this, not that he ever needed her to. They knew each other so well. He knew she would find it silly, and he felt lightened knowing it would have made her smile. This will be my last time. He leaned up against the large tree, letting his cold, tired, aching body rest. Only for a few moments. He would have to go home soon. This cold wasn't good for him. Just a little rest. The rain had stopped falling, and he opened his eyes again. There she stood, just the way he remembered her, even after all these years. She was younger, now that the years have gone by, so full of light and youth he had so hopelessly missed. She was smiling down at him and holding a handful of wildflowers. "You're here. I've been waiting for you." He returned her smile and indulged in a laugh. Somehow, seeing her felt so natural, so right. "I did promise this would be my last time." With that, she held out her hand and helped him to his feet. There was no pain in his joints. The cold could no longer touch him. By the river on that freezing morning, an old man was discovered sitting on a thick tree root, his hand over worn initials. He leaned against the soaked bark with a soft smile on his face. So many passerbys thought he was simply sleeping, dreaming of something sweet.